Not so long ago, curing meat was not just a hobby. It was how families survived the winter. Salt and time was all that you needed to take something extremely perishable and make it something lasting. The beauty in this method is that it still works exactly the same way today as it has for centuries, and we can do this very simply in our own kitchens. So let's cure some venison. So we're working with venison today, but remember that you can apply this same basic technique to pretty much any meat. And since I have two pieces, I'm gonna be doing two completely different flavor profiles because why not? So what I've got here today is half of a venison bottom round roast, as well as an eye of round. And these are great top round, bottom round, eye of round, all phenomenal options for something like this. Also a loin. You have a ton of options for different cuts that would work well in this application. This is actually fresh. It was just butchered the other day, but you can use previously frozen and defrosted meat for this as well. First things first, I've already weighed these and have the gram measurements down. If you want to get precise salt measurements, that's great. You're gonna use about 2.5 to 3% salt relative to the weight of your meat. You could also go with the whatever sticks to the surface is enough to cure it method. I do that all the time, but since I'm going to be using quite a bit of spices and I'm doing such small quantities of meat, I'm gonna actually weigh out my salt today. So let's get started with that. 280 grams times 3%. So we're gonna need about 8.4 grams of salt on this one. So now we add spices. I'm gonna just pop this into my mortar and pestle and grind the spices right into it. I'll just get this out of the road and make a little bit of room. So this first one, the eye of round, I'm gonna do kind of the cooler flavors. I really like this bay leaf, rosemary, juniper berry. I really, really like those flavors. So that's what we're gonna do on this one. We're just gonna add a little bit of rosemary, and I don't really measure any of this. It's very to taste. It's a very flexible few juniper berries. And then bay leaves we'll do last because they don't crush up well. We're gonna just get this all popped together in the dish. You can use any dish, whatever dish is the right size to hold your meat, just as long as it's not something reactive like aluminum, something that's gonna react badly with sitting in salt for a long time. All right, so just make sure everything is kind of rubbed in a little bit. There's a little bit of salt and spices in all of the nooks and crannies, all over the whole piece. That's it, nothing too terribly complicated. You don't need to stress about getting it exact. It's all gonna sit in here and kind of make a little bit of its own brine anyway. So for now, that is first step complete. We're just gonna pop this either into the fridge or into basement, root cellar, somewhere a little bit chilly, your garage, anywhere that's about under 60 degrees and above freezing. Just kidding, I almost forgot the bay leaves, which wouldn't have been the end of the world, but still, we're gonna add some bay leaves. You could use fresh or dried, and just crumple them up a little bit or use scissors and snip them up. Now we're actually ready to be done with this one. Okay, flavor number 2. I'm kind of going with biltong inspired flavors because I really, really love that, and I think it's gonna be absolutely scrumptious on this little half bottom round piece. So 229 grams. Math that real quick. Okay, 229 grams at 3% is 6.87. And then we get to add all of the other spices. Spoon. So I'm gonna add just a little bit of black pepper. Again, I'm really not much of a measurer when I do curing projects. It's very to taste and what feels right. Experiment and find out what you like. A little bit of coriander. Some red pepper flakes. We're just gonna give this a little mix. Get this unwrapped in our container. Same thing as the last one. Now last but not least on this one, we're gonna do a little spoonful of honey. That honey and everything will continue to kind of melt down and turn into a more uniform brine all on its own. So if you still have some clumps, don't worry about it. But this one is also ready to go. Wash my hands first. So the general rule of thumb when you're curing is that you set these things aside to sit in their salt for about a day per 2-ish pounds of meat. These are very little cuts that we're working with today. I still want to let them sit for a few days in the fridge, probably between 2 and 5 days, just depending on when I get around to this next. It is very flexible. You actually have a lot of wiggle room when you're doing traditional cures like this. So learn the basic fundamentals and then give yourself grace, experiment. There's actually a lot of room to wiggle without things going terribly wrong here. So we'll pop these in a cool spot and then we'll be back in a couple of days to do the next step. It's been a couple of days and I want to add a little bit of wine to these. So we're gonna check on them real quick, add a little bit of wine, pop them back in the fridge. So this is just some homemade cherry wine from a couple years back. You can use any kind of wine or spirits that you enjoy. You also don't have to do this step at all. It's very optional, but I do think that it affects the flavor and it affects the texture in a really nice way. So I decided that I did want to do that on these, and they're just gonna pop back in the fridge for another probably 2 days of rest before they move on to their next step. So it's been about 5 days at this point, and it is time now to get these out of the cold space, your fridge, wherever they've been sitting, rinse them off, and get them hung to finish drying and aging. All right, so now we've got both of these trussed up. There are lots of different ways that you can do this, but any way that'll kind of hold it together, keep it nice and compact, and keep it from falling while it's hanging will do. So now we just hang these to finish their air drying process, those conditions need to be kind of cool. Around 50 to 40 degrees is ideal, but anything below 60 and above freezing has typically worked well in my experience. Somewhere with a little bit of airflow is really nice. And humidity, at least 60% humidity. I really struggle with low humidity in my area. I know that's not a problem for a lot of you, but if you do have low humidity, you can put a humidifier in the space, a pot of water, or you can also wrap these with cheesecloth, with a tea towel. There's lots of different things you can do to kind of mitigate that. But yeah, these are just off to take a nice 10 or so day rest, and then we'll be back. Two weeks later, these are dry, they smell wonderful, and they are ready to be eaten. Now I want to, okay, not this piece, this piece. I want to show you guys, there is a tiny bit of very harmless molds developing. When you get into doing this, you will have to get over your aversion to molds. Some molds are perfectly fine and even beneficial. Think like blue cheese molds. Nothing scary. You don't want to see cat hair here, but this little bit of powdery white mold, very within the realm of normal, even desirable. All right, let's open this up, take a look, and have a sample. This is absolutely gorgeous. It's a nice even color all the way through. There's no rind and like crust. So we know that this dried at a decent temperature, a decent humidity, everything looks really good. And again, it smells incredible. We've got that really even texture that we love to see. Let's give it a taste. Really good, nice, tender, good flavor. It's that, this first one that we did was like rosemary, juniper, bay leaves, very good, very kind of classic. Now let's open up the biltong inspired piece. Another beautiful cure, no rind, great deep purple color all the way through. Smells gorgeous. I think I like this flavor even more. This is a really good one. So if you've ever had prosciutto, this is kind of the same texture. It's really soft. It's just a little bit chewy. Super good. You can eat this, of course, just like I did, like a little snack. It goes gorgeously on a charcuterie board. It's also really easy to wrap this in a cheesecloth, tea towel, beeswax wrap, whatever, and pop it in your purse or a bag and take it to go. It's a super versatile and really fun snack that you can really dress up or down, and you can cook with it as well. Anywhere that you would use prosciutto, you could use this. I hope you guys will give this a go. It is one of my very favorite things to cure and preserve meats. It's not only a beautiful traditional skill, but immensely practical and such a wonderful art form that is being slowly forgotten. So if you give this a try, or if you have done other projects, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And of course, if you found any value in today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and maybe share it with a friend. If you are wanting to explore more traditional preservation methods and you want a little bit of one-on-one guidance, you want some community and a little bit more togetherness as you're embarking on this journey, I would like to invite you to join the Patient Preservers community, where we do just that. You get behind the scenes content, one-on-one help, monthly live Q&As, and a community of other people who are on the same journey of learning these wonderful old-fashioned skills. I hope to see you guys there. You can go to apinchofpatience.com/membership or use the link in this video's description. All right, that's all I've got for you guys today. But if you want more meat-related content, check out the playlist linked in this video's description that has all of the meat curing, preserving, smoking, and cooking that I have done to date. And I'll see you guys next time.